Wasabi guys, welcome back to another Market Watch video. As always, if you appreciate these, I do them about once a week for the Market Watch. Please do subscribe to the channel. It means a lot that you're here for the ride. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a lot of influence this week, middle of May. New Capenna is pretty much settled in, so a lot of the prices you're seeing here are a bit more genuine, a bit more significant than initial launch, because as we've said 1,000 times before, do not trust the launch prices. They're about 1,000% higher than what they will be if you just wait a week or two. Better yet, wait a month and you can get pretty much most cards at a decent discount. There are some exceptions though. Some cards take off in Standard, some cards take off in Commander. Pioneer is a factor now. But let's start it off here with the first card, Jolene the Plunder Queen. I don't know if this is a JoJo's reference, but it would make sense going into Streets of New Capenna. It's like a gangster themed set, and I believe part 5 of that series is kind of gangster themed. If you were to make a deck inspired by anime, I would start here. But getting close to $10, let me just tell you, I've actually played against Jolene, and I thought she was pretty efficient. You get more treasure token support, which the more the merrier at this point. We've received nothing but treasure token support for the past 4 or 5 years. Ever since Ixalan introduced them, it just seems like we're always going to get treasures. You can sacrifice 5 of them to put 5 +1/+1 counters on her. And that's an added benefit. You know, you are in Gruul colors, you're going to want to pack a bigger punch. I like how it could also be a political commander where you're also giving those treasure tokens to your opponents if they're also attacking your other opponents. So as you can see, initially starting out closer to the $5 mark, now making a run up closer to 10. After the first week, second week dip, we could see some more treasure-focused strategies that will take advantage of Jolene. It's not just that Jolene could make a good commander. So just know that treasure tokens are the hot thing. They've been the hot thing for at least a couple years now. If there's anything in red or green that has anything to do with treasure tokens, you know that's only going to influence her price further. And I need to make it clear, when I say that something's going up or that it's hot, that's not me telling you to go and buy it. That's what my commander pickups videos are for. When I show you a chart like this, it's up to you to make your decisions. Next up, we have Currency Converter, another Commander Streets of New Capenna card. And this one similarly has faced the same dip, second, third week into the release of the Commander product. You see that it's returning to about the same level as when it debuted. This one though, I'm not as confident in, just because it's another bag of holding. It's a fun card, it has its usefulness, but it's not gonna break any strategy. It's not gonna take any strategy to the next level. So you're seeing it get close to $7. I think it could settle even lower, but that's just me personally. Again, I'm not going to tell you to buy or sell. The charts speak for themselves. I think if you are a bit more conservative when it comes to buying and selling cards, you're probably going to want to wait even longer for a lot of these Commander product cards. There's really nothing screaming out to me about this card that you need to invest in it. It's just waiting for the right Commander option, and suddenly you're going to see Currency Converter in every deck. No. Is it worth selling right now? If it's one of the few cards in your precon that is above $5, go for it. The next one we have is Unlicensed Hearse. Now, if you remember, this was one of my top 10 cards from the Streets of New Capenna main set, because it is one of the few new vehicles that is actually going to help your deck out in a utility sense. You know, where most of your vehicles are really there for a combat focus, Unlicensed Hearse is really there to punish your opponent's graveyard strategies. You can exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. And when you're looking at the chart, because it's from the main set, it's going to be a little bit different from the Commander product. It didn't quite dip as far as some of those cards did. So as you can see, it went from about $1 to close to $3 now. I've been telling you guys that this is a good buy, not just because I think it has long-term value for vehicle synergies, but because what it does is actually useful for Commander decks, even if your deck isn't focused on vehicles. Having that ability on a 2-mana artifact to tap to exile 2 at a time is very appealing. And the fact that it also has the benefit of crewing for only 2 to swing for potentially a high power, I think is incredible. Next up, speaking of vehicles, we have Cyberdrive Awakener, which was from the Commander Kamigawa Nia Dynasty product. If your deck is focused entirely on vehicles, you're going to want some type of payoff. Otherwise, you're going to notice you're not putting out as many creatures as your opponents. This gives all of your artifact creatures flying, and also it has a cool ETB, where until end of turn, each non-creature artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/4. This is a pretty big deal when you consider what's holding back vehicle decks for the most part is having few ways of navigating around the crew cost. If you have to crew 8 for Shorikai Genesis Engine. You get a nice 8/8 creature, but you want a little bit more than that. So Cyberdrive Awakener being a way that you can bypass the crew cost, at least temporarily, to get off some good triggers like the Parhelion, any other vehicle with a good attack trigger, I think it's going to find a spot in a lot of future vehicle decks, and even outside of that, it's still going to be good for artifact creature decks. The fact you have a creature with a static ability that gives them all flying, it is open-ended, so for it to get close to $2.50 to $3, I think long-term it's a good card. Because it comes from a Commander product, it's again going to be a little bit harder to find. We've noticed the premium on a lot of Commander product cards. I don't know that 6 mana is going to put it in that range of auto-include for a lot of artifact decks, but you never know. Next, we have a card we talked about, I believe last week, Reign of Riches. If you love Cascade, you know that this card is on your radar. If you love Prosper Tomebound, you know that this card is on your radar. And it is seeing above $15. It's been excelling, it's been overachieving. It's mostly because people love having fun. You offer them more mana through treasure tokens, and you offer them a way of getting through their deck even quicker with Cascade. It's another Commander product card, and you know how that goes. If it's only in 1 out of 4 or 5 decks, it's going to have a bit of a premium, and I think long term this is going to age really well unless it gets reprinted soon. So it could settle. Again, I'm not going to advise you to go out and buy or sell immediately. It could settle to around the $5 to $10 range, but I don't see it going much lower than that. It does a good job in design of not being handcuffed to the play from exile Cascade treasure token strategy. You could throw it into any red deck and immediately improve your game. You could throw it into general Cascade decks and improve your game. It is the first spell you cast each turn, and as long as you're using treasures, you get that Cascade, but that is still enough to be a blowout. So I think it's a great card. It's a fun card. People are drawn to fun cards. It's no surprise to me one bit. The last gainer we have to talk about is Royal Assassin, and the most relevant printing is M11. The core set 2011. We saw its market price go above $2 over the past week, and a lot of that is probably because of the new Commander option where you directly synergize with Assassins. There's no secret here, this creature's been around forever. It's a 3-mana creature with an activated ability where you can tap it to destroy target tapped creature. It's an oldie but a goldie if your deck needs it and you're desperate, you want to play on a budget. Royal Assassin might be better than some other removal options. However, when we see a lot of cards that go up very quickly because of a new Commander option, it's usually short-lived. And that's what we could see here pretty soon. There's just plenty of Royal Assassins out there. No one's been desperate to find a Royal Assassin, and it's not the kind of Assassin card that would really enable that strategy. It's not an Assassin engine, it just situationally acts as a bit of removal. Still a good card though, there's just no mystery as to why it would see play. Now we get to talk about our first loser of the week, Eerie Interlude from Commander Kaldheim. I think this is a fantastic card. Again, because a card's going up, it doesn't necessarily mean I think it's a perfect card for Commander, and likewise, trending down doesn't indicate it's a bad card, it's just the market interest is a little bit lower at this point. Eerie Interlude getting reprints and a couple pre-con products at least hasn't done it any favors. It's not that different a card from Ghostway, and Ghostway is way more expensive. I think it belongs in pretty much every white ETB deck. If your creatures have a lot of enter the battlefield triggers, you really would benefit off of Eerie Interlude. It could be one of the best spells you play all game. But we see a lot of great cards that aren't worth that much money. It's just the fact that they've been reprinted a ton of times that really lowers their market value. It could go even lower, so I'm not recommending you go out and buy a bunch of them today. Again, keep in mind it's best when you're using this for any type of blink strategy where you have a bunch of creatures with powerful ETBs, but if that's not your deck strategy, it's not going to be useful for pretty much anything else. The next loser we have is another good card. It's Reconnaissance from Exodus. We've been talking about this pretty much ever since Kamigawa Nia Dynasty, where there was an emphasis on attack triggers and being able to remove creatures from combat while still getting their attack triggers, so you're not really risking much. This is such a weird card, and that's why it's around a $20 one, but as you can see, it is trending downward. We found the ceiling for it, and it's around the $20 to $25 area. If this gets a reprint, it's pretty much going to be pennies. It's only expensive because it comes from an old set, and it does something that few other cards even experiment with, and that is the active removing from combat. This allowing you to do it for any of your target attacking creatures is a bit crazy for only 0 mana on a 1 mana enchantment that sits on the field. So anyway, that's going to do it for the Market Watch for May 19th. Let me know what you think in the comment section below about the Streets of New Capenna, the New Capenna Commander product. Commander Void here, I will see you all next time.